welcome to this Huddersfield Town Talk special. I'm your host, Stephen Downs, and as usual, as ever, I'm joined by Kane Hall. How are we doing, Kane?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Thank you for asking. Ready for the week again tomorrow?
Yeah, good. We will also be joined by Zach Wood. He's just currently finishing his tea, and Callum is also going to be joining. No idea where Callum is, but he's going to be joining apparently. So they will be joining a little bit later. I have got a surprise for Kane, which is linked to last week's show. Which I'm going to wait until the other lads are here before I show that. But as ever, we're here to discuss all things Huddersfield Town. On today's agenda, we're going to be talking about the destroyed Terriers at Charlton, the season ticket re-announcement, or some parts of it, and obviously a look ahead to Tuesday night's game against the Imps in Lincoln. But please do get involved with the show. Get your comments in. There's already some coming in, Kane, to be honest. They're on it tonight. But please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this video as well. Kane, Huddersfield Town 0, Charlton 4. Initial reaction. Blunt and initial.
I couldn't believe it, Steve. I generally couldn't believe it. I was surprised to see Balker back in the starting lineup, in all honesty. But I think I kind of looked at that after the first 30 seconds. It was such a poor start. And it's hard to come back from that. When you concede so early on, you've got to be really strong mentally. And the players just aren't strong mentally at the moment. They've gone through so much rubbish over the last year or two. Anyone who's come in who was strong aren't, because of what's been going on. Now you can look at it in two ways. One of them is you look at the lineup.
Yeah,
for me,
let's start from there.
For me, look, Brody Spencer just played 2 games at left back, left wing back for Northern Ireland in his break, and we know he can do a job at left back, but he's not a left back. He's a right back. And I felt quite harsh on Josh Ruffels being dropped, actually. And I get the point is you need as many fit centre-halves as you can, and they need to get back into the lineup straight away. But was Balker ready? I don't know. And I just think the combination of Balker, it may have been, he's not played for a while, and then Brody Spencer not being a left-footed player in the left-back position, that passes. I think it's a combination of them both, because he's trying to get it onto his right foot, whereas Ruffles would have allowed it to just open up a little bit better. And I just feel like as if it would have been better. It'd have been, what's the word I'm looking for? It'd have fit better, because again, you lose your kind of shape, the way you are when you've got a right footer at left back. It doesn't always work out. Balker, look, I think he's a fantastic player. But I felt as if the whole team at times, especially in the first half, were just trying to play too much. You've got to sometimes get the ball out, get rid, and then get yourself set. And Balker could have gone back to Lee Nichols for that first goal. He could have just passed it to him. Lee Nichols could have gone long. He'd get rid of the danger. But instead, we got him 30 seconds when Charlton, they're going to be up in your face. That first 5 minutes, if you don't have the ball, they're going to be at you, which any team would do. But I did feel as if that continued within that first half. It was just losing the ball in silly positions, really poor passing, instead of, and I'm not saying play the ball towards the head of Taylor or Marshall or Ruskin. I'm just saying over the top, just get that ball down the other side of the field. Get yourself set and go again. Get yourself up the field, get that shape, get your formation, get yourself set. And I just don't think Town did that in the first half. I also believe that Charlton didn't allow Town to do that. Yeah. I think there's a bit of both. But you've got to take the game into your own hands. You've got to take the game by the scruff of your neck and play it the way you want to play it. And Town didn't. Town played it the way Charlton wanted to play it. As soon as they got the first couple of goals, that was it. It was always going to be take your time, slow things down. And I don't blame them. I'd have done exactly the same thing. Commentators that I was listening to on it were going, "Oh, it's the same old Nathan Jones thing." Like, yeah, well, They can do because they're winning. What else do you want them to do? Just quicken things up for everybody else. And I don't even think if Town would have quickened things up, it would have made a difference. It just felt as if that first 30 seconds set the tone for the rest of the game.
I agree.
Completely. And it was always going to be hard for Town to come back. And I've been made to eat my own words, which is a shame. But
we'll
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You know, I generally thought Town would be a lot better. If that 30 seconds didn't happen, I feel like there would have been. But then I look at what else was happening. Ollie Turton were awful.
Oh, he was awful. I agree.
He was really, really bad. And
that's the worst I've seen him in a Town shirt, actually, thinking about it.
I kind of feel for him, but I kind of don't. He's a professional footballer. And Stevie should be doing better. And this is my point. And I feel this is why I felt bad that Ruffles have been dropped to watch a performance like Turton's. And look, he steps in and does what he needs to do from time to time. But wow, they absolutely had him on toast. Was it Campbell? Campbell was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. And he ran Ollie Turton to bits. I believe they actually swapped wings after 5 minutes. Did Small and Campbell. And then after that, it was just bombardment. Anytime Charlton got the ball, go towards Turn. Sometimes he was kind of just watching him run at him. He didn't even try and put the tackle in. And I was like, what are you doing here? Yeah. I think I said in our chat that what my changes would have been at half time. And obviously Turton would have been one of them, put Brody Spencer back to right back. But then you've also got Sorensen on the bench. There was 5 right backs in that squad. Now, I get it. Look, 100% there is some injury issues. There really is some injury issues. But when you've got 3 right backs in the squad, Ollie Turton isn't your first choice.
No. There's a couple of points that I want to touch on with you there. But we are going to bring our second guest in. Mr. Callum, how are we doing?
I'm all right, mate, but I'm not a guest.
No, but you're the second on this panel at this moment in time that has come in. And Zach will be the third. He's rushing home currently now. Just to bring some comments in, thanks everybody for getting in touch. Blue Terrier 19, anyone get any words to describe that? Well, Kane's just come up with a few, to be fair. Also, we've got Ben AFC 17, going to be hard to top the entertainment brought to us by Jay. Oh, stop picking on Jay, Ben. Jesus. You know, Leeds fans have got it hard right now. Much harder than us. You know what I mean?
Tell you what, Steve, my TikTok, every other video is on Jordan and Ellen
Drode. That radio show is like, can you play at Level Towers apart from my friend Ellen Drode?
Yeah, every other TikTok today has been that. I feel really bad, but I can't wait to do it again in the office tomorrow at work because it's just so funny.
Apparently, Town fans are really, really small-minded and sad, but there we are. Everybody's welcome here because it's a Town show. Blue Terrier 19, based on yesterday, no one will be sticking their name in for the job. We'll get onto that. Ben, his head's gone. Also, we've got Dirty Andy, who says, hi guys, my first game was Old Dirt, First Division, lost 1-0 to the Arsenal. Since then, I watched them go all the way down and back up again. In all those years, I can't remember football played this badly by a Town team. Terrier 930, can't write out. Unfortunately, he will get the pick of another manager and be in charge of the summer recruitment. God help us. Season's cards will be flying out of the window. Yeah, basically, a couple of points on what you just said, Kane, and then I want to get Callum's view of the weekend because I'm sure he's got a lot to say. We talk about that first goal, and we said about Boker and Spencer. I mean, sure to God, one of the things that Johnny Worthington will have said to the players is right. There's quite a good striker on their team, lads, called Matty Godden. Kind of knows where the net is. So make sure you mark him if he gets in the box. He's a poacher. You know, we had one for years in Jordan Rhodes. You know, he knows where the net is. Well, nobody marks him. You watch the goal back and nobody marks him. He's got virtually a free header near enough. And it's a good header, like in the back into the corner. Nichols has no chance. But sure to God, you've got to say, look, Come on, lads. You know what I mean? We're 30 seconds into the game here. It's not 93rd minute.
Yeah, but that's also it, Steve. You're 30 seconds into the game, and there's a mistake that you're not expecting to say, oh, we should be marking him. Yeah, you make a point, but also 30 seconds into the game, why are you making a mistake like that? You know, he's just off the cuff. He's on your shoulder. You're not really marking a man there going, oh, well, we're in real danger here because my centre-half's got the ball on the edge of the box, so we should be all right here because he's got two options. One option should be going back to the goalkeeper, which I expect him to do because that's a sensible decision. Or the other one will be, well, I'm going to pass it straight to my left back. And he went for option 2, but didn't pass it straight to his left back. So yes, you're right. There should be marking, but you won't really. You've got to kind of class that as a counter attack. But the counter was very up high up the pitch because of mistake. So just going straight off to mark a man once you do that isn't exactly easy. So I'm going to defend him on that, Steve, because yeah, you're right, but also you can't just mark a player straight away like that.
No. Callum, since you've just come in, what were your thoughts of the weekend? Try and keep it as PG as possible.
You know what? I was less angry, pretty much because of what Kane's just said. I was less angry about the first goal and the way that it was conceded, because you know that can happen when you're just settling into, you're trying to get your shape just after kick off. You are looking for, in the time that it took for Charlton to score, that you are looking for the man that you are picking up for the rest of the 90 minutes. You've not necessarily found him yet. And that then left them the space to be able to move the ball. And yeah, it's quite scrappy, but there's an element of fortune involved in it. And we can't say that there's not. And those balls.
We're being kind here, boys. We're being kind here.
Those balls would never fall for us. Those balls would never fall for us because we'd never have the foresight to think, right, let's press from kickoff. Go on.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't. Whether that's because that's not how we're set up or that's not how the culture of the club, whatever, we just wouldn't do it. So sort of have to credit the way that Charlton went about it and just say, right, we'll press them from the first seconds and we'll try and suffocate them. And that's what they did. But
did we not expect that, though, Cal? Being at the Valley, against Nathan Jones, against these sorts of teams, is that not something that we should have expected in what is a big game against two, hopefully, playoff rivals?
Yeah, we should. No, we absolutely should. And I'm negating to say that there was some naivety on our part. However, if that's happening against another team that isn't in the playoff mix, are we still sitting here and saying, you know, you should have been switched on, you should have done this, or are we sitting here and saying, well, you know, it's just luck, that could have happened to anyone? You know, the conversation changes depending on the opponent when it really shouldn't, because it's the basics of any football match. However, I've talked a lot about the first goal, the capitulation that then followed.
Yeah.
That's the bit that becomes less PG for me.
Go on then.
It was another one of those games that we've done quite a lot to say where we are in the league. We've done this quite a lot this season. Just forgotten the basics of football. Picking up your man, staying with your man. If you don't win the first ball, go for the second ball. Don't back out of the challenge. You know, I thought we were really soft everywhere, and it just left Charlton the room that time and again this season they've exploited against teams like us. We played right into Nathan Jones's hands, and there was a bit in the stream where it cut to Nathan Jones. I think it were at 3-0, and he was just stood smiling.
Yeah,
on the touchline, he was just smiling. Yeah. Like, I don't really know what to make of this.
No.
But you know, I think what a really dangerous phase now is, and I've certainly reached it, is that we lost 4-0, and at the end of the game, I'm not thinking, oh, bloody hell, we've lost 4-0. I'm sitting there thinking, that was quite funny. That was quite a funny watch. I mean, I hated it, but it was quite funny.
Did it not just end a bit of a comical week, realistically, with everything that's got?
I think, mate. I think I'm completely apathetic towards this set of players at this moment in time. And obviously, I can't say that I'm apathetic towards the football club because I love the football club. But I love the football club as a whole, I don't currently love the players, management, or backroom staff or board members. I don't feel any connection at all with anybody at the club. The connection I feel is with the badge.
Yeah, I mean, Kane, Callum talks about that apathy, and listen, by the third goal in the second half, I mean, every goal was just basic errors of defending. I'm sure you'll do moves like that, at the team that you coach and the level that you're coaching. I mean, none of them were spectacular goals. I mean, the fourth goal comes off the bar and it's an all right hit, but again, it's the defending leading up to that. I mean, that is the most. Well, it's quite dangerous, really, isn't it, to think about how pathetic the defending was, really.
It's switching off. It's switching off. It's getting down in the dumps a little bit because of what's happened again. The start of the game has been awful, and as I said at the beginning, you've got to have such strong mentality to come back from it. And if you don't, which the players don't at the moment, because of so many different factors, anything that happens is going to go against you. Because I'm also a believer of, especially when I'm coaching, you've got to create your own look. You create your own look by working hard and doing the basics right. And Town failed to do that. Town failed to create their own look. Charlton did. Charlton created that by getting up into the faces, playing football at the right times in the right areas. And I've looked at some of the comments that are coming through.
Yeah,
I think it's Ben who's put a few in, actually. To be fair, I think there was one that basic errors were led to it. Brody Spencer, best of a bad bunch, and everyone were a bad bunch. You're right, everyone was a bad bunch at the weekend. But there's no excuse for me in terms of giving up. I feel as if there was an element of it. I'm not saying they did, but I felt as if there was an element of just giving up. And there were only certain players back there who were wanting to try and stop Charlton continuing scoring, wanting to try and stop Charlton continuing going down each side. And I mean, then I look at other individual performances. I don't think Ruskin touched the ball. It was awful, and the week before it was unbelievable.
Yeah, but is there a point there? What we were saying about Coventry bloody hell, I wish it was Coventry. Crawley last week, that Crawley were actually that bad that we kind of coasted through that game, and everybody thought, it's Worthy's here. He's gonna calmly and cushion us into the playoffs. And first game that we come up against any sort of decent opposition, we crumble more than an apple crumble on a Sunday afternoon in a table restaurant. It's
nice mentioning no names of the table restaurant there, Stephen. I like your work.
Other restaurants are available.
I thought Town were brilliant against Crawley. I really did. I don't think it was just a coast of a performance. I think the Crawley
result was more of the shackles are off sort of a performance. However, that then leads me to question what's put the shackles back on.
Honestly, for me, it was that goal at 30 seconds, that mistake. For me, that has done everyone dirty on the field. And again, I will say it again, mentality is massive. How many times have I spoke about confidence on here? Yes, you're going to gain that confidence against Crawley, but it's one win. It's one win against a poor side. You go make a big mistake like that after 30 seconds against a team who you're trying to rival in the playoffs, it is going to go against you for the rest of the game, and that set the tone. And generally, if that hadn't have gone in after 30 seconds, I believe it would have been a completely different game. Don't get me wrong, after watching Campbell up against Turton, I still think Charlton would have won, but I don't think it'd have been 4-0.
No. Let's make it a full contingent of Town fans tonight when we bring Mr. Zach Wood in. Hello, Zach.
Good evening, gents. How are you?
Not bad, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad, thank you.
It's been a while since all four of us have been on, hasn't it?
Right.
Guys, too long, mate. Too long.
Too long.
I'm liking the mustard number you've got going on there.
It's a bold statement, isn't it, Callum?
It's superb, is that?
Bold statement, mate.
I hope you enjoyed your meal out, Zach. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. So as we've said last week, I've got a little surprise for Kane because it links to last week's show. So if I can just change to this view. Oh, no, that's not worked.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Oh, it's getting technical now. Careful, Steve.
Hang on. Where's this other view?
Oh, careful now.
Any chance, Steve?
Honestly, honest to God, where is this? Right. Anyway, I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's going on here.
This hasn't worked. This.
Anyway, Zach, what did you have for your meal? What did you go? Have a nice.
Anyway,
right.
I'll hang on. I'll just play the video. Right. So this is Kane last week going into the Charlton fixture.
I do think Town are going to. I think I know what team's going to turn up. It's going to be a 4-3-3, and it's going to be just in the faces. So the fact that the Charlton fullbacks like to get forward, it might be a bit of a struggle for them because you're going to leave themselves open. They're going to leave themselves really open. And I think Town have got enough quality back there, which is what we saw at the weekend. They're covering for each other. They've also had another couple of weeks of working on what they need to do defensively. So it allows them three players in the attack to kind of stay up. And, it might go to that bit of a chess game, but it is going to be full pace. It's going to be full pace from Town. It's going to be high press. And, Zach, I know you're saying you're not too sure what kind of Town's going to turn up, but it's going to be a Town that you've not seen all year. And what nobody's seen all year, apart from what we saw last week, a glimpse of it, but perhaps more this week. And that's why I do think Town are going to be far too superior. Look, Charlton are a great side, no doubt about it. They're above Town, great run that they've been on, just as we've mentioned. But it's going to be a Town team that people haven't been expecting to see, apart from Worthington and his coaching staff know what they're going to get, which is full throttle football going forward.
Very, very loose indeed. Thierry Small picks it up for Charlton. It's a decent ball in. It's a free header, and it's an early goal. Wayside, Tyrese Campbell. To Berry, and now Campbell wants it on his right foot and puts it in the corner. Sees Doherty waiting. Here is the Charlton captain. Hits the underside of the bar and ricochets in off Lee Nichols.
She's full throttle football going forward.
Okay, we got full throttle football, but it wasn't from Town.
Sue Gallop's the right mug, mate. Sue Gallop's absolutely had you there.
So, Steve, can we go back and get how many times I've been right, though? That'll probably feel a good full hour, though.
You're only as good as your last prediction. Only as good as your last prediction,
Yes. Okay. So
if it's any consolation, I were miles out as well. I said it'd be an edgy game, right? Shocking.
Again, I don't think anyone expected that. 30 seconds has absolutely killed the game for Town.
That game were edgy for about 20 seconds.
I'm sure you've covered a lot. I'm sure you've covered a lot right in the first 20 minutes. So, firstly, apologise for missing it. But can we just please, if it's already been mentioned, I have to mention again, the Ollie Turton defensive display is absolutely atrocious. I mean, even on a Saturday afternoon, look, I'm not the world's best defender by any stretch of the imagination, but the backing off onto the edge of your 6-yard box. Like, just, if in doubt, you got to go attempt to win the ball outside the area. That's what you get told when you're 10-year-old. And you just, someone taught me through what's going through his head. And the one where he's come over the top and he's wrapped his neck around it instead of nodding it home. I'm like,
that's exactly what's going through his head. When he's backtracking, all that's going through his head is, please don't get injured, please don't get injured, please don't get injured, please don't get injured, please don't get injured.
Probably.
But it honestly, like that defensive display, it's absolutely amateurish. Like, it really is amateurish, and it's scary because we sat on this show this time last week, right? And we despite the season ticket prices, we had a lot of positivity because we'd seen probably one of the most complete Town performances of the season, and we all said it, right? We said we can't judge it against the Crawley side who were poor, but that is to go from what we saw against Crawley to that in the space of it's not 7 days, we're on an international break. The space of 14 days is absolutely terrifying.
That makes it worse.
Yeah, if we genuinely believe that that we've got a chance in the playoffs, something's got to change and fast, because we are miles off it. Absolutely miles off it at the minute. And that fixture list, by the way, does not get any easier.
No.
What's more worrying for me is that if we do, by some miracle, get in the playoffs, and then by some further miracle, we do win the playoffs, we are so far behind what it takes to stay up in the championship. It's just going to be a horrendous season next season.
Yeah, but you can't have that mindset. I know you're absolutely spot on, Callum, but this is going to be our lowest finish in a league campaign since, is it 2009?
Yeah,
I think
2009. Yeah,
2009, and like, you know, we think about some of the teams that we've had down them years. We've had some poor sides, right? We've had some really poor sides, but we're potentially going to finish, dare I say, mid-table in League One. You know, like, and every year it's like when we drop down from the Prem, and we know we're saying to each other, it's, you know, we go back, we reset in the Championship, we'll be fine. People said when we were battling in the Championship, saying, look, it might be the right thing to go down and reset in League One, but you can't do that anymore. Like, we've just got such a loser mentality, and far too many people are willing to accept mediocrity, and it's horrendous.
I think you know, looking at, you know, taking it away sort of what's happened at the weekend, you know, there's a bigger picture of what's going on at the football club, and I think that's what people need to realise. So what happened Saturday was just a bit, I think, a microcosm of all the bad decisions that have happened, not just over the recent time, but over the last 15 years of bad decisions, you know, that have got the football club to where it is now. You know, we had that glorious little period that we'll all remember for the rest of his lives. But like you said, Zach, you know, it's the lowest finish since 2009. Dirty Andy in the comments said further up, you know, that it's the worst, one of the worst football teams he's seen at Town, and he's watched them since they were in the old Division 1, playing Arsenal and lost 1-0. I mean, that says it all. You know, a fan that's been going, you know, maybe 40 years, and it's one of the worst football sides he's played. Now, you know, Callum said earlier about he doesn't love any of the players. I feel a bit like that. There's only probably, Hoggy, that obviously, and that's due to his longevity. Is there any of these players that have been here now, 4 years or more that I love? Bar Hoggy? Probably not. I mean, it's one of the most emotionless Town teams, I think, Kane, that we've had for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's because of the results. You ain't got anybody there that you can relate to or that you want to relate to. Yeah, you've got Hoggy, but the person before that, probably Jordan Rhodes, because you know when he from what he did, not because of his performances in his second spell, but from his performances in his first spell with Town. That was probably the only other player, and that's a year or two ago now.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that it's entirely performances though. I think players have come that the fans have taken to when we have been quite poor, but fans have still taken to him. Like, put it into perspective, you say you should never fall in love with a lone player. I loved Emile Smith-Rowe, and we were awful that season.
Yeah, but he was good. His performances were good.
But we weren't.
I think as well,
as a team.
I think someone similar. Like, I think if we talk, you know, Helic. I think I liked Helic. I had a lot of time for Helic. I think, you know, he was at Town through quite a poor period in a very poor period, right, where we've got relegated. And to say that a centre half's been one of your favourite players in a team that's conceded absolute hatfuls of goals kind of sums up where we are. But yeah, I think, look, it's still March, right? We've still got 2 days left of March, so the league. The season's not finished. I want to add that, right? I'm not saying we're done, because we're not, because, you know, it could click and we could find ourselves in the playoff, and then, as Callum mentioned, you know, by some way of, I'd imagine, a bit of luck and whatnot, we could find ourselves going up. So I'm not giving up the fight, right? But what I am saying is, if this Town team continues on the current trajectory it's on, we've got no chance.
Let's get some comments in. Ben says, Wagner for next season, please. Harsh reality that Kevin's affected us over this big time with declining decisions made, but the first few years are never perfect. Get him in, and it's a few mistakes made up for. Dirty Andy says, I could understand mistakes made like these if we were a bloody youth, but we aren't even doing that, which is a fair point. Paul Tyndall says it all when Dion Charles is at Blackpool watching Bolton. We'll get to that, Paul. Ben also says Wagner, it's one step closer to the future. Ben's put a few more comments in. Terrier 930 says no chance we make the playoffs. Look how Charlton destroyed us yesterday. We will get torn a new one if we got in the top 6. It's sad, but unfortunately true. We are a mess as a club from top to bottom. I tell you what, for a team that's in the top 6, we are probably one of the most depressing fan bases right now, aren't we? I mean,
we're 7th, Steve.
7, yeah, 7. Sorry, I thought we were still 6. Never mind.
I've heard Wagner's name mentioned a couple of times. Then, why would he want to come to Huddersfield Town? So I'm baffled by this. Everyone's like, let's get Wagner in. So we've got a God-given right that he wants to come back here. We're going to be a mid-table League One team. He's not going to want to go to Crawley again, is he, next year? Or, the Port Vale, for example. Why would he want to come to Huddersfield Town?
I mean, he didn't go there first time around, but I get your point.
So I mean, that's what I mean. So why would he?
Exactly. When we
That's
took
the
him
point.
from obscurity, we were in the Championship. Why would he want to come to a League One football team?
He rejected us. He rejected us 18 months ago, right? And we're in Championship. Exactly my point. Why would he want to come to League One, Huddersfield Town?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I don't.
Why would? But why would any manager?
Steve Evans anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're going to get Steve Evans that way. I mean, the unfortunate, the group that I'm in, it includes the Leeds fans, and they were, trying to say that Steve Evans would be a great fit for us. I genuinely would probably cry if we got Steve Evans as manager. Why anybody would want him when he's failed at Rotherham, God knows. Kane, let's just move on to this unfortunate incident that's happened on social media. I didn't put it in the agenda, but we might as well talk about it since it's been commented. Is it a storm in a teacup about Dion Charles going to Blackpool to watch Bolton, or is it a bigger signal that things are not good at the football club?
Yeah, I think it says a lot. For me, if you're an injured player, if you're at home, you go to the game. If your team's away, you're told to stay at home. But going to support your old team, your old teammates, when Town are in a playoff battle, Bolton playoff battle, you're not really hit the ground running. If Dion Charles had come in and scored 5 goals so far for Town this season, won us a couple of games, it'd have been like, well, you know what, fair play to that lad. Is just seeing all them fans who used to appreciate him a lot, but it's not like that. He should have just stayed at home and watched Bolton game on telly because it was obviously more entertaining than the Town game. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look. I think it says a lot about him as well and what he thinks about the club.
Is there a fair point, Calumet, to say? Does it say a lot about the football club though as well that they have potentially let him do that?
Well, that's what I said when I have to say massive thank you to Bradley Peel, because that video that I shared on Twitter yesterday was not mine, but it somehow ended up with 339,000 views and like a load of really angry Town fans and really, really happy Bolton fans in the replies. And I just had to turn my Twitter notifications off yesterday because I thought this is getting out of hand. But when I said it on Twitter, I said that it shows, I think more than we anticipated, it shows that there's a lack of respect and it's a lack of discipline for me. It is a lack of discipline from the player himself and respect for the people that pay his wages, but also from the club. Why are we not saying, if you're injured, you stay at home? If you want to travel with the team and watch it from the stands, absolutely fine. But if not, you stay and watch it at home. Why are we not saying? Has he been allowed to? Has Town just gone, right, you're injured, all right, we'll see you in 3-4 weeks? Because if that's the case, it's entirely our own fault. And absolutely, you'd go and see your mates. You go and do what you want to do. Absolutely. But if the club have told him in non-specific terms to stay at home or travel with the team, then it is a lack of respect for the people that pay your wages.
Zach, we don't know exactly what was said, and probably we'll never find out. But you know, it doesn't, as Kane and Callum have both said, it just doesn't look good, does it, on either party?
I'm probably going to surprise you. So when I first seen the video, I was like, probably a little bit miffed, but I think it's a non-starter, if I'm being honest. I think it's a guy who's not at work on a Saturday can spend his free time how he wishes. I don't really have much of an opinion on it, if I'm being honest, Steve. Like, if the club have told him he can do what he wants, then it's completely up to him how he spends that. Telling him to stay at home, I mean, again, it's a Saturday. He can spend it how he wants. He's a young man, right? We all want to do stuff. We all don't want to stay at home. If I've got a day off work, I'm not staying at home. There's just more important stuff. Like I think like we've alluded to a little bit there. I think if the team, if we just won 3 games in a row, right, and Dion Charles is watching Blackpool versus Bolton, none of us would have an opinion on it. We wouldn't, right? I don't believe anyway. And I think the reason we feel the way we do is because the way the club is at the minute in terms of results on and off the pitch. So I think when something like this happens, in the past it wouldn't have even been a thing. Probably wouldn't even blinked twice at it. But because of the way we are as a club right now, it feels worse. So I think maybe the opinions are a little bit more emotionally driven than actually if you stand back and if you were a neutral fan, you probably think it's not that bad, not that big of a deal. He's going back and seeing a lot of his mates, right? A lot of his mates are probably at Bolton. He probably still socialises with them 20 mile away. So for him, it's probably just, I'm off on a Saturday to watch my mates play football. But it's just where we are as a club that makes it feel worse.
Do you think maybe? Do you think maybe he thinks that he made a mistake coming to town?
What, because he's gone and watched his old club?
Well, I mean that not just because of that, but the sort of reaction that not just town fans have had before this, but obviously since he's come, like Kane says, he's not set the world alight. He's missed quite a few chances, you know, easy chances as well. You know, I mean, and obviously Bolton have now, you know, they've got a really good manager in Steve Schumacher. I mean, I bet the lad wishes probably that he'd never left. Yeah,
maybe so, right? But I don't know what's going on inside his head, and I wouldn't want to guess, and I also want to surmise, right? Because he's not. The facts are, right, he's not hit the ground running at Huddersfield Town. We spent, you know, £750,000 on him. He wasn't cheap. He's missed quite a lot of decent chances that you'd expect a striker of his calibre that's done well in the past in League One to put away. He's probably seething, right? Because since he left Bolton, they've been flying, and he's come to Huddersfield Town, and we've gone the opposite direction. So it probably feels like a little bit of misfortune on his behalf. But end of the day, he chose to sign for a club. He's signed on a 3.5-year contract. He's contracted with this club, and I'm sure he'll play as long as that contract lasts. But yeah, I don't know. I just think we're maybe looking into something. We're just being pummeled 4-0 by Charlton, right? That's the issue. Last night we should have been talking about Ollie Turton's bloody defensive display on pitch, but instead now we're all looking at a video of a guy watching his old team play, which
no, it's a fair point. It's a fair, and I think I'm more on your wavelength, Zach. I don't think it's as big a deal as what people are making out, and I think, like you said, because of the heightened emotions of the defeat to Charlton, it's made it more of a bigger issue. Like you said, the lad can do what he wants on his Saturday if he's not being picked in the squad. I do think, however, that he probably could have maybe thought about it a bit more and thought, is this the right thing to be doing? Am I definitely going to be filmed on social media at a football game? Probably. Where if I went to the park or the pub, I'd rather go to the pub, to be honest, and get absolutely leathered and just enjoy Saturday afternoon in a beer garden, if that's rather than going and, you know, putting himself in that situation, because it just means that, you know, Bolton fans are then laughing at town, and it's just, yeah.
Sort of feel sorry for the lad, and these idiots stirring it up on social media as well. You know, there's no need for it.
No, there's no need, Callum. So this is why.
No, I'm not saying that.
People like you, Callum.
No, I think
Please.
I think it's ill-advised, right? I think it's probably more ill-advised than a big issue. I mean, it's a bit daft, isn't it? But I don't think it's any more than that. And it's just not a great look at this moment in time, to be honest with you. And I'm not criticising you sharing it, Callum, because if I had it, I'd have shared it as well.
Some Muppets, Ben's put, some Muppets have been saying that they never want to see him in the town shirt again. Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Kane,
Sack him anyway,
let's move on to talk about another big issue that's happened over the course of the week. Don't know where Zach's gone. Anyway, let's go on to talk about season tickets. It was a discussion point last week, which got quite a bit of traction. I'm not going to lie. Zach's 7-minute superb monologue that I clipped up. It was clipped up in stages, but it lasted at 7 minutes in total. It was very good. Both me and Zach have had a bit of traction off it from various people. Kane, obviously, they came out before the Charlton game and they said that they've made now a few changes to what they originally announced, where under 14s now go free if you are an existing card holder of an adult price, not if you're a new season card holder. And also there's been some slight tweaks here and there in terms of the percentage that season card holders now get to spend in the shop. I think that overall the announcement or re-announcement was welcomed by the majority of Town fans, but do you think they've gone far enough? And obviously, the 4-0 smashing by Charlton probably hasn't helped the causes of selling season tickets, if we're being totally honest.
I think really should have probably gone to Zach first, I'll be honest with you, Steve. So I'm going to put in my little 2 pence. We'll move on to Zach.
Okay.
It's nice that the club's listened and they have made some changes. Is it enough for what people want? I don't really know. It's great to have that extra 25% off in the club shop. But how much of a difference is that going to be with a change of brand anyway? Because by all accounts, Castor is going to be a bit more expensive to compare to Umbro. Under 14s free is fantastic. Would prefer to see it were all under 14s, regardless of if they've had a ticket or not before. Prices are still a little bit higher, but I think the most important thing is that the club have listened and tried to make amendments. That, for me, that's the most important thing. They have tried to listen and tried to make the amendments. Whether it's right or not, whether everyone's going to accept it or not, it's a different story. And as you say, it doesn't really help after the weekend's pummeling by Charlton.
Cool. Well, we'll jump to Zach because I think, like you said, Zach, probably the right person to speak to here next.
Yeah. So, okay, it's definitely a start. And I quite like the.
I hate all of it, so I'm going to go full tilt. So Kane's been nice. You go in the middle, and I hate all of it. This is perfect.
Yeah,
where do I come?
Lovely. So I quite like the message that various podcasts and fan group put out. I thought it was welcomed. I think it was done in the right nature and in the right manner. I think the fact they've listened is a start. Do I think it's gone far enough, and is it going to change the outcome of the renewals? I suspect not. I don't necessarily think the value that the season ticket brings with the increase that we've got is going to be outlaid by the opportunity for those with children to benefit from a reduced ticket price, right? I was hoping when I'd seen it flash up on my phone, it said under 14s free, and I automatically thought, well, my niece is getting into football. She kind of at the moment is frequenting various Yorkshire clubs while she finds a way, which I'm not quite happy about, but she's being brainwashed elsewhere. So I saw it as an opportunity. Well, I might get her a season ticket for her birthday, right, which is coming up in June, with it being free. And then I would have renewed mine because actually there was an advantage there. But then when you read it and it's only actually under 14s that are current season ticket holders, you think, well, how's that going to grow the fan base? That at the bare minimum maintains the fan base, but it doesn't grow it. And I think we've missed a trick. I really do. I mean, there's going to be plenty of spare seats next season anyway. So the fact that you might get an under 14 that wants a season ticket that's only going to attend 10 games a year isn't an issue, because obviously there's going to be plenty of spare seats. I stand by everything I said on last week's podcast. People have tried to check my maths and they've agreed with me. It's absolutely spot on. We will lose revenue whether they like it or not. And that's a fact based on the polls. And I've checked it against other podcast polls as well, and they're all very similar. It look like we're going to lose somewhere between 33 and 40% of current season ticket holders based on the current ticket pricing structure. So there is Aye, there's a lot of there's a lot still left to be done, mate. And the fact that we keep getting this sentence rammed down our throat, we've added value in and around the stadium. Honestly, take my seat out, right? Chuck it in the bin. I don't care. I'd rather stand in an absolute dump watching Huddersfield Town win games than be able to get a pint from a self pouring machine. It's not what I go to games of football for. I go to games of football to watch Huddersfield Town, you know, and support the team. I really don't care what goes on off the pitch if the product is so bad. So I don't think I'm sitting on the fence, Cal. But I'm happy that they've listened, not gone far enough, still need more. Hand over to Cal to take it that step further.
Yeah, I want to do that. Firstly, is your niece? Is it Doncaster? I'm sure it's Doncaster that she's interested in going to watch.
No, mate. She's been going. She was a mascot at Elland Road yesterday.
Okay. I was being sarcastic. It was obviously going to be Leeds. Not that Doncaster is a superb club, by the way. Exaggerated polls, Zach. And I will bring Callum in. I just want you to go back on Ben's comment.
No, it's an absolutely fair point, right? But I think any poll or any vote in any sort of sector is always exaggerated, and it's only a small portion of the fan base, and it's only those with social media, right? So we're missing a whole portion. But if you look at what the HTSA findings were, they were of a very similar nature around the increase, that it could have been accepted between £50 and £100 as a maximum £100. So I think that kind of correlates that we will lose fans. And you can only use the data that you've got provided, right? Even if we slightly soften it to 20% losses, we're still losing revenue.
Yep. Callum, you can come in and then I will say my piece because I've got a piece to say.
So, ever the cynic, myself, I think it's incredible, and both of you have mentioned it, I think it's incredibly naive to think that the club have listened to what the fans have said and that this wasn't actually planned in the first place. Who's to say that they weren't just going to do this anyway? You know, like we sit here and go, oh, well, at least they listened to bits. They cherry-picked the bits that would have been easier or would have cost them less money. But ultimately, the detriment to the fans and the financial burden that this puts on fans is still there. The lies that have been told by those at the top of the football club are still unaddressed lies. What was it Kevin Nagle said? We can't increase the value of tickets without increasing the value to you as fans. 2023 said that. That's still a lie.
Well, it is a lie, but what they've done is they've twisted it and said they've added values in and around the ground.
Yeah, I don't see on a match day where. So how much is the increase in the South Stand? Remind me.
It's
has it gone to 379? Has it from 250?
Yeah,
I think £129 increase. I think
389.
139 quid.
Is how much money? So 100 and whatever times 2,000, and so it's loads of money, right? And you're telling me that that's what it costs to put some automatic pipe machines in a gazebo?
I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying that, Cal. I'm not saying that, mate. I'm hearing you. I agree with you.
I'm not saying that you're saying it, but I'm just if we're looking at it per stand and per area, the maths doesn't add up there. It just doesn't.
No, but you're missing. No, you're missing the fireworks against Wrexham.
Oh, the one game fireworks.
Yeah, that's what. No, that's the value. Sorry, you missed that, mate. Missed that, mate.
There was a video last night of them painting some of the white bits on the stadium.
That's it, mate.
I just love Callum's maths compared to Zach's detailed maths of last week. Callum's like, but you are right, Cal. You are right, mate. I mean, listen, I've had some correspondence this week from a certain individual, and it's not been the best week to correspond with me, but there we are. Now, you know, this certain individual seems to think that I'm going to say it, all right, Kevin's corresponded with me. That's fine. So we've had some direct messaging, and basically he wasn't very impressed with what was said on the show last week by Zach and myself, and, well, probably a number of other comments that came in. Now, my point is I've given Kevin the right of reply to come on the podcast to explain a bit more about why he's put season tickets on. I've interviewed Kevin in the past. We have repeatedly said on this show and the Monday show, about the good things that Huddersfield Town have done. They've improved the concourses. They've improved the marketing. They've improved certain things around the club shop. They've improved certain elements around the supporter, sort of the supporter
Dialogue.
experience on a match day and dialogue, right? So we've constantly said that the club have done good things. We have also said that the club are currently doing some not very good things, and that we have a right to criticise that, being season ticket holders. Bar Kane, who works in the press box, but there, he has the right also to say, because he's a Town fan. It's England. It's 2025. You are allowed to use critical and thought processes to allow an opinion to be formed about a certain subject about a football club. I will say it now. I've said both in my direct messages to Kevin, and I'm saying it now live on air here on the stream. Kevin, please let me come to the John Smith Stadium, walking outside the training ground, to interview you again and put some questions to you about season tickets, about the value that you think those price increases are adding to supporters with the current situation with where the team is currently in the league. I think that those are going to be fair questions to ask, and they're not biased questions. They're not questions either coming from inside the football club, but then again, they're not questions coming from maybe a rival podcast or some supporters that just slate everything that you do on social media, because that's certainly not what we have said on this podcast, and it's certainly not what I've said both privately and publicly towards you on social media. So that's just a direct response to that. And again, you know, Kevin, you are more than invited to come onto the podcast to explain the reasonings. Now, obviously, you know, the increases, I still think, are not good. I don't think they're good because three things. It doesn't help supporters in terms of the morale around the football club. Supporters can't afford these season ticket prices due to the fact of the current economic state of the country. And three, you know, the football side of things isn't of a value of money that people want to pay to come and watch. People can go and do things elsewhere in their local area for a lot cheaper price every weekend if they want to do that. You know, yes, it's good that the season tickets have been thought about and for the under-14s. That's what we want. We want the club to be proactive with the future supporters of the football club. Us four here, collectively, might be around for the next 60, 70 years. But who's going to support the club after that? Who's going to be the next custodians of the fan base that keep the football club going? If you don't have anybody coming in underneath us, you won't have anybody to keep it, you know, running in the future. And I just think, yes, part of me says that you've listened, but part of me still thinks there's a lot to be listened to. We're not saying that you can't have an increase. We understand that there are revenues that need to be made. We understand that you've put a lot of money into the football club. But you have to also understand that people's mental health and also their you know, wallets are going to be triggered and damaged, maybe because of the price increase, the fact that they can't afford to go to football, and that might be one of their only outlets from everything that's going around in their life, whether that's out of work or in work. And I think that's important to remember, that football can be an escapism, whether we get defeated 4-0 at the Valley and think that we're crap, or we beat Crawley 5-1 and we all celebrate every goal like it's the last day on earth. Football's an escapism, and fans are important to the game. And if you forget the fans, you might as well shut football down altogether. Anyway, that's my bit of a rant over. Kane,
that's the clip for this week. Well done, sir.
I don't know if anything that I've said that's wrong. Hopefully it's not.
Nah, spot on that, mate. Spot on. And I
I
think
love the passion, Steve.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right that it is an outlet for a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to struggle to finance that and everything else that's going on. You know, we're no strangers to the fact that like bills are going up for everybody, and with that happening, whatever 100 and whatever increase on a season ticket for the football becomes not a priority for you. You know, whether it's a choice between putting food on the table and going to football on a Saturday, it becomes not a choice. And you take the decision out of the hands of the people that are making it when you put the prices up that quickly. It's just a fact. Whereas if they'd gone up gradually, as was initially promised at the ATT, the prices will be increased gradually. It becomes more affordable if you're only putting an extra 50 quid in, or an extra 100 quid even. You know, we've moved too far too fast, and we're going to really see it in attendances next year. And if his big master plan is to sell less tickets for more money and end up with the same revenue, that's just not how it works, because you've got to remember as well, not only has he put the prices up, there's also a brand new TV deal coming in for the EFL next year that guarantees more games on telly than there's ever been. So attendances would probably have been down anyway if they'd have stayed even at the same price.
But I refuse to sit here with the week that we've had and people to say that we as a collective on this podcast are just out to bash the club when that's not the case. We've all sat here and praised the club at various times throughout the season for the great things they've done. H-Town, great idea. You know, stuff like that is just been brilliant. But that's where I'm at, and that's why I get passionate about it when people say we've over-criticised the club, when it's an opinion that we're allowed to have on a certain issue at a football club, which affects us all because we all buy season tickets, and you know, we haven't over-criticised the football club. We've been critical of one point of it, and then we've said, right, let's move on and let's get behind Worthy. Let's get behind the team. Zach?
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to defend an opinion by any stretch of the imagination. I also, if somebody was on this podcast, right, only talking about negatives of Huddersfield Town, it's got nothing to do with anybody but that person who's giving that opinion, right, and the listeners that are coming in and engaging with us. We had engagement last week on the podcast, right, probably more than we've had, because it was people giving opinions about something they love. And when people give opinions about something they love, it brings out passion in people and emotion. And we're not always going to agree on topics, right? That's the whole point of a podcast. But I just, honestly, everything that you said in that little short snippet there, and yourself, Callum, would just back that up, is exactly everything that the majority of fan bases are feeling. It's the fan base is feeling it's too much too soon. Is 100% accurate. And my worry is, if this is gradual increase, where does it then stop? If this is step one on the gradual increase, right, that is frightening, by the way. If this is the start of the increase. And also, you touched on it there. You did praise H-Town, Steve, when it first opened, and I think it's a great initiative. But my point is, right, if you're someone that's now having to pay £139 more, right, just take the South Stand for an example, and you're probably less likely to go for that pint before the game because you've already fought the money out. You're probably less likely to call into the club shop to get the new kit because you don't have that disposable income because it's gone just to get into the game. So I think it's a little, and I said it last week and I'll say it again, but I think it's short-sighted thinking you can take it out of one pot just to pop it into another pot, right? Because it ain't going to happen like that. You've got to think bigger picture. And I think, you know, thinking strategic, I think the under-14s is a start to that strategic thinking, but it cannot end there. We cannot go into next season with 12,000 people in that ground because it'll feel soulless. At times at the minute, right, the experience is dropping quickly. The Crawley Green was an exception. I think the fans were fantastic. But the experience in terms of fan noise and fan level is seriously dropping at the minute. And it's no fault of anybody's but where it starts, and that's on the pitch. So if we take out 5,000-6,000 season ticket holders, right, from that, or, you know, drop to 12,000 a week in attendance, it will feel big, that ground. 50% full. It'll feel big. It'll feel empty. And on a cold Tuesday night come next January when there's 10,000 there, it will be horrendous. For those that travel to Wigan, right, like I did earlier this season away, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And it's so hard to get that back. it's so hard. Once you lose fans, right, they quickly find something else to fill the Saturdays with.
Yeah,
they do, right? They'll find something else, whether it be going to IKEA or whatever, right? They'll soon find something. Right, that's cheaper, and then that becomes their norm. And when people lose the rhythm and the structure in their lives of going down to the stadium week in, week out, it's not quickly gotten back. And that's what terrifies me. We worked so hard through 2016, 2017, 2018 to build up a fan base that was sustainable. You know, we're still riding that wave somewhat with the youth in the fan base at the minute, but they'll soon be 25, 26, 27-year-old, right? And then there'll be nobody else coming through. And honestly, as a massive Huddersfield Town fan like all of us that should be terrifying to us, because we're not a massive club, right? We're not just going to go get tourists filling them seats. Not going to happen. And honestly, can quickly become a soulless place down there, and that it's not a future that I think any of us want for Huddersfield Town. And I also don't think the hierarchy want that, and that's why I'm hoping that they listen, and they go a step further and figure something else out.
Yeah, just some comments to bring in. Ben puts would have taken £368.7 across all of the ground all day long for adult. Seniors need to be cheaper though. Saving Headley out more than £1 a game on average. Under 14s and under 18s price he believes is fair. Also, we've got Blue Terrier 19. Kevin's definitely done some great things for this club and has put a lot of his own money into the club, but I've not seen anything on the pitch to say that the product is now worth any more. And I think that's kind of the critical thing that Blue Terrier 19's probably got right, Kane. Just to finish round this point off before we talk about something happy again in going and beating Lincoln 6-0.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to try and repeat anything that anyone else has said, because what everyone else has said has been absolutely spot on. But yeah, Kevin has put a lot of money into the club, the infrastructure of it, and everyone is extremely grateful of that. But not everybody sees that, because not everyone's paying to watch the infrastructure of the club. Everyone's paying to watch what's on the field. And has it been good enough? Is it worthy of the jump for the season ticket prices? I don't think so. I think the players that they've bought on paper, then that's what they would argue. But respectfully, that's not happening. And again, you go back to the game that we've just witnessed this weekend. Horrendous. What happens on Tuesday? Hopefully a positive, but then is it inconsistent? So you could go, well, it's been inconsistent all year, so why don't we pay prices that are inconsistent? We'll pay you £5 for a game, and we'll pay you £20 for the next one, because we don't know what's going to turn up. But either way, I do feel as if the increases was way too much. It should have been gradually gone up if that's what they wanted to do. The product on the field is still not there. The infrastructure is getting better. There's a lot of good stuff going on at the club, but the main point is what is on the field isn't where everyone thinks it should be, where everyone believes it should be, and where everyone knows it should be. So to ask for season tickets to go up like they are when that's not there, it just doesn't bode well.
Correct. Right, let's move on to Tuesday night against Lincoln, where obviously we're going to lose again. Callum, going into this fixture against the Lincoln side that they're not happy with their manager, if we're being totally honest, and there's one tomorrow on the podcasting, Chris Bell, that is going to be an absolute nightmare before the show. But yeah, Lincoln on Tuesday, what is your thoughts?
Immediate thoughts are worry. Only because it's one of them fixtures for Town, isn't it? Away midweek, Lincoln away. Lincoln are not a bad side, and you lose against Charlton, you lose against Lincoln, and honestly, I think, and this is a bit of a bold prediction, but if we do lose against Lincoln, that is it for this season. I do not think we get it back. And I don't think we get the confidence that losing 2 of those games on the bounce takes out of us. I don't think we get that back either. Under an interim manager, with the games we've got coming up, I just can't see it. I think anything but a win is pretty much, I don't want to use the word season over, but we're getting into that territory for me.
Zach?
So Jacqueline Hyde at the last 2 weeks, right? Completely two different opposing Huddersfield Town teams. Very similar personnel on the pitch, but completely different outcomes. I think our Lincoln side is probably somewhat in the middle of Crawley and Charlton. In terms of the outcome, none of us know, do we? I'm not going to sit here and make a prediction because I actually don't know what Town team's going to turn up. I think Callum is probably edging in the right way. I think it's an important game because we need a result. I don't necessarily think a point will be the end of the world, but we could do with 3, obviously. My worry is that this whole mindset thing, right? So we're like 2 or 3, we're probably 2 or 3 wins away from 1 point in getting on the top 2. So after we beat Wickham away, we were like, right, top 2's in the sights now. And then we went and lost 3 and 4 games. And then we say, right, top 2's out of the sights, but we've now got a nice cushion between us and the 7th place. That cushion's gone. We've now dropped out of the playoffs. It almost feels like it's inevitable where we're going to finish. So to stop that tide, mate, we have to go and get a result Tuesday night. It is a mustn't lose and a nice to win. But I have no idea, mate. Honestly, if I were to make a prediction, I'd just be guessing. It's pointless.
Well, we'll come to the predictions at the end. Kane, a must not lose. Callum thinks it's a must definitely win. Where are you sitting?
I think every game's a must win for Town. They've got to try and build as much confidence as possible. Again, the aim was to go up this year, so anything less than a loss anything less than a win is not what the club's after. So they have to go there and win that game. And I do think it'll be completely different to the weekend. I hope it is. I hope they don't make a mistake in 30 seconds and lose their edge. But football don't get written in a book. All could happen.
Okay, so you don't think that we're going to be too tough, too fast, too strong for them then, no?
Yeah, I do. I do, Steve. I generally think on the day Town will be for anybody, but they've got to be on the day. Again, I said at the beginning in the podcast, 30 seconds in, does anyone expect that to happen? No, and then your mentality, your confidence, it's not there, is it?
We'll just say that Lincoln haven't scored in the last 2 matches, so the most Town thing to happen would be to lose 5-0.
Yeah, it probably would be. It would be.
Full throttle football from Lincoln coming up, man. Is that what you're saying?
Look, when
it says that Huddersfield Town haven't kept a clean sheet in 7 matches.
Lincoln has been one of the best sides that I watched at the John Smith this season. I thought they were absolutely superb on the ball, and Town were actually lucky to get a point that day. It were 2 apiece, right? Were Town 2-0 down?
Yeah, 2-0 down, yeah.
Lincoln were absolutely brilliant. They used that pitch superbly. Their shape, their formation, their tactics were brilliant. I just don't think that they had the players to go out and to win the game. It also didn't help that they were playing away. So the Town fans were there once something happened. Again, now Lincoln are at home, but Town are a completely different side.
They've also won a lot more at home than they have away this season.
Yeah. Yeah, and Town are a side that we expect them to play in a different form. We expect them to play in a 4-3-3, which is what they didn't play against Lincoln last time. They are away from home, where you'd like to think that they'd have a bit more freedom, which at the weekend says maybe not. Town have got goals in them, which we have seen. They have scored goals. They've created chances throughout the year. It's about putting them in the back of the net. But you can't make mistakes. And mistakes are costly. Mistakes after 30 seconds are costly for the rest of the game. They can't, if they make a mistake after the first 5 minutes on Tuesday, kiss a result goodbye. But anything else, they might have a chance. I would like to think that Town would win. I do think they're too strong. I generally do. But it's about the mentality and the confidence of it all. If you don't have that, maybe that's what I missed out last week. Maybe I thought, maybe I was too confident in Town being too confident. Didn't expect them to make a mistake like they did, but it happens.
Don't worry, I wasn't setting you up for another montage next weekend. Don't worry about that. Zach, just finally then, before we get the predictions in, do the players have to show a bit of bottle, mate, from Charlton? Do they have to show a bit of something now? Do they have to go, right, we owe the fans something here? It's not, Charlton was... maybe it wasn't the worst, because I think actually the worst game of the season has been Northampton away. Check out the FA Cup. But do the players have to turn up now and say to the fans, sorry for how crap we've been for a long period of time this season?
Just do the basics. Just do the basics. As a defender, engage the person with the ball, right? Make decisions that you would make. Play the way you're facing when you're in defence. Head it home. Nichols has got to command his area a little bit better, I believe, as well. I think, I don't know if you've covered it, but I think he didn't really cover himself in glory. But just do the basics, right? And I do believe, and I know where Kane's coming from. I believe we've got quality in the squad, right? I do. And I know it sounds daft because we just got pummeled on Saturday, right? But there is some quality there. We just got to make sure we play to our strengths, just do the basics, right? And they've got to come out fighting, mate. They have to come out fighting. If not, if we go 1-0 down early down at Lincoln, mate, fans are close to the pitch down there, it'll be toxic.
Yeah. Right. Prediction time. We didn't cover Nichols and Chapman. We can do that at another podcast later in the season. Kane, prediction from you?
3-1 Town.
Go on, Kane.
Callum?
2-1 Town.
2-1 Town. Zach?
0-0.
0-0. And I'm going for a 3-1 Lincoln City win. Unfortunately.
Calls out no, comes up with that.
to end the podcast on a very positive note, I think I haven't got confidence in this team.
I think we're going to get stuffed. Good night.
I haven't got confidence. I do think Dion Charles will score though and cup his ears towards the Town.
He's injured.
He's injured.
He's in Blackburn.
Yeah. he's on machines, is he? Anyway, thank you very much for everybody turning up to tonight's podcast. Thank you to Kane, Zach, and Callum as ever. Cheers, boys. Thank you very much for your insightful and analytical input. Thank you very much to all the comments. It's been absolutely superb to get you on the show tonight. We've missed our Aussie friend though, Jed. He's obviously not woken up yet in the Southern Hemisphere. But thank you very much to everybody else who's got involved. Please like and share and subscribe the video. If you do want to go watch Leeds United content, it is on the channel. That's all I'll say about that. And we do have our roundtable Monday show tomorrow, which you can get involved with, where we discuss all the other teams from West Yorkshire and Huddersfield Town once again. But as ever, it's been a lovely Sunday evening spent with the boys, talking everything about how good it is to be a Huddersfield Town fan right now. keep smiling, Town fans. It can only get better, as that one great song once said. Good night.